like to introduce Tony Fitzgerald, who is actually a director of the Historic New South Wales Police Museum. So today's tour, I suppose best way to describe it, is going to take three parts for us. The first will be just down here amongst the police vehicles, which extend back into the corner over there, and Tony will actually give us some background on what's going on here. You might recognise the drunk van here. Yeah, you might recognise the drunk van. I mean, it's a bit like old home day for some of you, in your youth, but I'll pass over to Tony.
Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, thank you for everyone coming, because some people came from not just local, they've travelled from up in the Blue Mountains, so it's appreciated. Lucky we had the good weather. Just in a nutshell, this all started, myself and there's two other business partners and a third one who just only, unfortunately, just on 2 months ago passed away. He was here one day and went next door and he felt like he had a kidney problem, but went to a hospital and never came out. Within a week he passed. That was Jim. Jim has been collecting cars with Sancho and myself for the past 32 years. Their collection consists of what's here, which is about 60 cars. But at Wilton, they have another large 1,400 square metre, which you know of. So that's the balance. So it's about 270 cars. So the car thing is before the police thing. I came along with the police thing. I've been collecting memorabilia and police equipment for 37 years this year. We used to work on the police cars, and then we went out when they subdivided with fleet and go to different locations to have the cars repaired. But I used to start collecting bits and pieces like you do on our toolboxes. We used to collect all the old decals and bits and pieces, and cops would give you stuff out. And then it went from a small collection to now, in the last 37 years, I've got probably the largest collection in Australia of over 950 uniforms from 1870. We started 1862, 1870 through to current, of all sections of the police, male, female. I've got station equipment, firearms, exhibits, anything they're going to throw out. Unfortunately, being any government agency, you know what happens. You've got too much of one thing, you throw it away. You take it for consideration, because you see 100 of these all the time. We thought we kept one, so I started collecting. So that's where that collection went from there. So this premises here we're knocking down both buildings, and it's going to be a full-length museum of 4,000 square metres. Level 1's 4,200, level 2's 4,200, and the underground, which is right up the car alley, we're going all the way to the front fence and to the back fence, which is 5,000 square metres. We're going 2 levels underground. So the first level underground will be a normal, what we'll call Westfield's height, where you can get a four-wheel drive in and park. That'll hold up to 175 cars. The level 2 is going to be at least the top of the top beam, so we can double stack cars and miss, because you remember, a normal civilian car is like a normal civilian car, but when you get to these police cars, it's got like roof racks, roof bars, you've got to go that much further up to release to come back down. So the underground on level 2 is about 4.2 to 4.4 metres high, so you can allow for that lift. That's where the private collection will go underground, and the rest of the police cars. The police cars are owned by 17 members. Myself, we started off very, very small in 99, 2000 for the Olympics. We only had 2 vehicles. We had this truck and we had a Charger. Then it grew from there. Now we've got 56 cars, 28 motorbikes, and then now everyone's kept in touch, because we've taken it to the next level now, where we're going to. But the good thing about it was, when we did this, we didn't want to have a car museum. We didn't want to have a bike museum. We wanted the history of the police, because fortunately of everything I've got. So it took approximately 3.5 years ago, we sat down with the Premier, the Prime Minister, the Commissioner at the time, which was Mick Ford. Then once Karen Webb got in, sat down with Corporate Affairs, which is the corporate side of the police, but you've got General Counsel. Now, General Counsel, the police would know, these guys would know, is the legal team, and then they report to the Premier's office, which is the Crown Solicitor. So they've all signed it and approved it. So we've got the name New South Wales Historic Police Museum, because they have that name. It's legislated under 203 of the Police Act, and it's been there since 1862 when they became the police. But to have that as a private entity, they were a little bit funny at first, but because we were actually going to promote just them, and it's all about the history of the police, they allowed us to have the name, which is a good thing. So it realigns with them. So it's almost like another section away from the police, but it's all about the police and about what they've done. We've got the oldest mounted police in the world. We beat the Canadians by 8 months. So we're the oldest mounted police in the world, which is a good thing, because at the opening, I've already got the, you'll see upstairs, I've got the Canadian police have sent their mounted unit, and they're going to send a mounted member over when we do the opening to ride behind one of our riders. So when the street's blocked off for the opening, he's going to walk behind, and so is our New South Wales officer, and stop and turn in front of the building for the opening. And then people are going to say, why is there a Canadian officer here? And they can tell the story why. And then, because not many people know that we were the first mounted police in the world. So there's all these different things we've always done, and the police have done, but I want to promote this and show it. When we got this in our mind of where things have changed the last 50 years and we can't believe it, by having tour guides who are actually the cops who are involved in the incidents, they're actually in these 8 rows. So it's got the dog squad, water police, highway patrol, each section, which is the 14 sections, but each section, if it's used in the first aisle, it's got the dog squad, then water police, and you're actually telling a kid a story where it's the actual person involved. So at Granville, I've got Gary Raymond, who's one of my executives. He's on the board too. He was at the Granville disaster. We've got the famous photo of at the Granville disaster. There's a gentleman putting his hand down, and there's a Salvation Army guy coming up, and he's in a butcher's uniform. Well, obviously, he's a butcher. The old aprons. Well, he's come and seen me, and I've got his white top and his apron, so we can have that in there. So when people see it, he's happy to come in. He's 77 now, but he's happy to come and say, I'm not even a cop and a hero, but I left my butcher shop when I heard the ground rumbling, thinking, what the hell's that? We're having an earthquake. He thought it was an earthquake. Cut long story short, he came out and there's a famous photo of him. He's got his arm and he's pulling a Salvation Lane. It's just people off the street. There were civilians, there was 2 off-duty nurses, off-duty mean they were at home, came in and assisted, and no one knew who they were. They were just in civic clothes, but they were assisting with wounded and deceased. And the cops, who are you? I'm actually an RN. Oh, you're registered nurse. Yeah, hello, what do you think I'm doing? I'm holding over here. So there's all those stories to tell. It's not just about the police. It's police, fire and ambulance, but it's also the civilians, because people got involved because they didn't have a choice. They got involved, but they're quite proud to tell the story, because to do this today, you tell this young generation, all they're worried about is doing this. Yeah, that's right. Oh, look at that. The guy's having a heart attack. My business project is, if a kid can walk out of here and go, I didn't know the cops did that back then. Were they mad? With a bit of rope, if I can make them think, that's a start. Then they can make up their own mind. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We got a blue Falcon, because the reason why the very last Falcon's with Michael, one of our other members, and then we got a red Commodore from Traffic Services, because red's the Holden logo. So when they're remarked up again, they're going to be inside the museum. There's going to be a wall of remembrance of everyone's names on it who's passed, and the 2 cars are going 45 degree. They're going to be like a fixed asset where they sit next to it. So we've also got Rescue One, our big ACO international truck, went to the Granville disaster. It was at Anita Cobby's murder for lighting. It was at the Hilton bombing. So we've got vehicles which were heavily involved in major incidents, which is good, because you've got footage and photographs and obviously not just the evidence, but of what that incident was about. But behind you, so these are some of the common cars you probably recognise the police had in many years.
Tell me he's ridden in the back of one of these.
We used to call them the blue taxi. I remember a sergeant telling me the police light switches on, and he'd say in a sedan, never turn the police light on. And I said, why, Sarge? He said, because people think you're a taxi when they're pissed, and they used to run out in front of you, just try and hail you. And he said that you'd end up hitting them or having to lock them up because they're intoxicated. So that's one car similar to what I drove. The VL up there, that's the V8 one, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Bought the VL turbos, which were one of the best highway patrol cars I ever drove. And I did my highway course in one of them at Goulburn again. And there's a bike upstairs, which you'll look at. I rode them as well. And I did that course at St Ives a month before they closed St Ives driving school down. In fact, the New South Wales Police driver training sign, we were talking about this the other day. I've got a photo of me back in '89 in front of that sign. So the VLs were a great car. And my worst car that I disliked the most is the VN. The V6 VNs were very gutless. You'd put your foot down and they had a governor on them so they wouldn't over rev. So you basically got up to about 80 and the thing would go like this. So remember we chased a car once we tried to chase it. Yeah, I was driving, but we tried to chase this car on Kissing Point Road near Gladesville. Got a radar coming towards us, doing 60 zone, doing over 80. Here's one, locked the radar, did a U-turn, floored it. The thing went, it was a V6. And another quick story in a VN, it was a V8 one, this one. They were a little bit better. They did not handle. They were very front end heavy. We used to go to a place, another road in Ryde. Do you remember the name of the road where the honey pot was? Yeah, we're sitting there. And I took Jim there. I said, this place is a honey pot. Bees the honey. You just sit here, wait 5 minutes. You always get it over 80 and a 60, 90. We're sitting there talking. We're there literally a minute, and a car comes over the hill. It's in Ryde, North Ryde somewhere. Car comes over the hill, let the radar go, 120. Yeah, we got you. put the lights and sirens on. Sorry? Kilometres. This is all kilometres. 120 and a 60 is a good speed. And turn the lights on. Next thing you know, I'm flashing my headlights for him to slow down. The bloke's
At least I've got your
He's
number
floored
for
it.
other things. Yeah.
Okay, we got one next. You know, we're chasing this bloke all over the back streets. I was driving again. I must be a bad driver because I lost him again. Anyway, we're driving around the back streets in Ryde, looking, hoping to find him, parked somewhere, whatever. All these people coming out of the house because we had sirens still going. People was coming out of the house and they're pointing to this house with a single car garage. And Jim goes, I bet he's in the garage. So we pull in the driveway, open it up, and old mate's sitting in there, the motor's still running.
We've got the Rambler and we've got the Mini.
Yes.
What were the different functions there? We've got a highway. So what were the different functions those
Well,
cars
this particular Mini is only an 850, so it's the Morris. That's a general duties car. That's why it's got the flashing light and the door and the decals on the side. The Rambler, they had multiple uses. The detectives had them unmarked. They had the marked Ramblers as well. They had obviously the flying squads, the 21 Division, which everyone heard about them. They used to go out and go after. They were designated detectives. You got the 4-panel van, which most of the people would recognise the panel van after the cage trucks. Falcon Coopers, obviously, the Coopers got released after when Alan Moffat won Bathurst. They did an ad in the paper, which has been on the Facebook page. But the other two vehicles we've got, the other one is actually which is not here today. It's the actual car in the actual ad they used. So Russell Vickers, who's one of our members, his father John Vickers was the boss of the Highway Patrol, and his car was used. And it says, Alan Moffat's cars just won Bathurst. They do 200 kilometres an hour. Now we're coming after you. It was like a promo, and they used his car, so we've got that car as well. And then underneath we've got an XY Falcon. That's like a GT. It's actually a Falcon 500, but they're stamped GT because they're Falcon 500 with 4-bolt main, V8, and it's even got a GT dash in it. The others had Falcon 500 standard dashes in them. And then across the other side, you spoke about most of the Trana was like the Minis. They were unmarked. So that's when, before Highway Patrol come in, everyone complained because, as you know, any factory car you buy, there's always 6-7 colours in a factory. So imagine a Tirana, there was 7 colours. In the Cooper S's, there was 7 or 8 colours, then the British Minis. So everyone used to get done because they were an unmarked car with a little police sign up and they'd pull you over. Once that all got out in the open over a period of 9 years, that's when they went to 1975 and they called it Highway Patrol. So it changed the whole over because it used to be called Safety Bureau. Correct. And the other good thing you can ask the cops is, their prime example, there's 2 things they know. There's 2 things the cops know, which I'll run at them, is their registered number and their class they went to the academy. And when you finger point them, they know them like it's like your rego. And it's funny how normal people will remember a registration of your dad's car when you're a kid, or your mum or your uncle John who had a certain car. You suddenly remember a registration. I don't know why, you just do, but when you ask a cop or an ex-cop, what's your registered number? He'll go 57441.
And some will remember the number of their 38.
Yeah, 38, their saw number and their can card. They just remember it, and they've never been told to do it. Yeah. But in respect in what they've got, it's the 2 things they always know. You might ask them, what's it?
That's how you smoke out and someone who's bullshitting to you. They used to say,
that's right.
Oh, you used to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You interviewed a bloke, didn't you, recently that said he was going to... Jim's a security guard,
yeah.
He interviewed a fella.
Police officer and I said, did you? What was your registered number? As I can't remember. I said, bullshit.
Correct, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And it's funny.
What's your class number? I can't remember. I said, yeah, you'll never come.
That's right. That's right.
5 seconds.
Yeah. But again, I'm not. Here's an example where Jim said, he naturally said it because when it is a bunch of cops, and they go, oh, my registered number. Sometimes these guys can pick what era it was, especially if it's a 4-digit or an early 5-digit. You go, when did you join? 1960s? Yeah, mate, I was a superintendent back then. They just know their own language, but it was a respectful thing.
Yeah, that's how you smoke people out. Because this guy said, I said, okay, so when did you go to the academy? Well, I went in 1989 at Redford. I said, it's funny because they closed in 1985.
Oh, that's right.